They will not crush us.
This is my world. Oh, you took a wrong turn. Now you're stuck in my world. Trust me, this is gonna hurt. Pile it up and watch it burn.
You have to love yourself a fire.
Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Martin and welcome to AAA Digest. So we make RDR2 videos and put them on the internet. And disclaimer, we don't do daily RDR content because that shit's impossible. Unless we want to make stuff up and start using clickbait titles for views and subs. But hey, that ain't us. So here's another RDR2 video, a character video that revolves around Dutch Van Der Linde. Now we may make a part 2 regarding Dutch if more information is released, but for now, here's what we know about Dutch. So number 1, he believes in a world free of government control. So at a young age, Dutch Van Der Linde developed a love of freedom and choice. Furthermore, he gained a disdain towards government control. And why he gains this perspective isn't completely known. I'm sure in RDR2 we'll see or hear about a specific moment that defines Dutch's unique perspective. But he genuinely believes that he can make a difference in the world and be a champion of the people, and realizes forming a gang that believe in this common goal, his common goal, will have a larger impact. So he does. So during the late 1800s to early 1900s, Dutch, alongside gang members Arthur Morgan, Bill Williamson, Javier Escuela, Jose Matthews, John Marston, and more, together rob banks, fight government officials, local law enforcement, and stage large heists with the grand goal of helping the underprivileged and freeing the region of government control, which leads to Dutch being viewed as a Robin Hood-esque character, a noble rebel opposing the law and government. Number 2, his gang are on the run. Now, although the gang and Dutch begin the game in a very good place, practically notorious / famous, feared and awe-inspiring to locals because of their goodwill. And as we know, all good things come to an end as things take a drastic turn for Dutch, as he and the gang become wanted men throughout the land. They are relentlessly pursued by the government, and this leads to a drastic change in philosophy and desperation among members of the gang. Furthermore, increasing tensions as the gang are forced to flee into different regions across America, never truly having a place they can call home except camp. Major questions in regards to Dutch's leadership and his motivations are soon posed. Unlike before, Dutch's actions begin to contradict his ideals. Number 3, a huckster. So during Dutch's early years, he is regarded very much as a huckster, otherwise known as a con man. It's how he made a living for a portion of his life, and kind of garnered his confidence, and this is confirmed by Jose Matthews in the most recent trailer, who claims to be Dutch's longtime best friend. Quote, "Good old Dutch, my best friend. You know how we met? A pair of hucksters trying to rob each other back in 78 or thereabouts." So Dutch made somewhat of a living by conning random people on the streets. So he's a bit of a trickster. Number 4, charismatic, intelligent, and a father figure. Now, quite possibly the most important character trait, Dutch's endearing charisma. And due to his charisma, also his intelligence and unique outlook on life, he's capable of firstly gathering a cult following and then creating blind devotion among these followers who believe wholeheartedly in his vision and his goals. And this blind devotion isn't created solely because of his motivational speeches, ingenious plans for robberies, and his cleverness in regards to outsmarting the law, but it's his ability to connect with the members of his gang on a personal level by treating these outlaws like family. In RDR1, during a conversation between Bonnie McFarlane and John Marston at the McFarlane Ranch, John opens up about the gang and their leader, describing him as a great man in a way, who taught him how to read and how to really see the world for what it is. And Arthur Morgan, who was raised alongside Dutch Van Der Linde as a brother, at the beginning of this game, their connection is practically unbreakable. He is blindly devoted. During the trailer, when Dutch asks, "Do you have my back?" in regards to an upcoming mission that poses major risk for the gang, Arthur Morgan states,
You have my back. Always, Dutch.
and then Mika Bell, one of Dutch's go-to gunmen, states, "Sons of Dutch makes us brothers. Sometimes brothers make mistakes." And this is addressed towards Arthur Morgan in the trailer. So Dutch is viewed as a father figure among the majority of gang members, and Bill Williamson throughout RDR1 barely can go a sentence without mentioning Dutch in some way. So despite it being years since the gang disbanded at this stage, Bill still holds great admiration and respect for Dutch. almost idolizes him. And in the RDR2 trailer, as I previously mentioned, Jose Matthews describes Dutch as his best friend. So there's a common theme. All the members completely love Dutch, and this is due to the cult of personality that surrounds him and his ability to connect with all of his followers on a human level. And Dutch is also an extremely inspiring leader. Throughout the trailers for RDR2 and during RDR1, we hear Dutch given multiple motivational speeches in which he's trying to inspire the gang during rough times. Number 5, he experiences a major fall from grace. So as the years go by and the Wild West begins to come to an end, with the introduction of new technology, high-powered weaponry, and the inclusion of the automobile, this leads to a growing presence of government officials and an influx of new settlers, which sees Dutch's dream of a world free from government control rapidly beginning to fade, as lawmen are much more prevalent in the county, and the gang itself are hunted by government officials in the government's own attempt to cement their control over the region, which sadly for Dutch, a major loss of freedom becomes unavoidable, and it's clear that he's quickly fighting a losing war. Thus his actions and the gang's work ultimately changes nothing in the long run. Although Dutch becomes aware of this fact, he fails to accept the world is changing drastically around him, and his failure to reevaluate his perspective leads to a strong idealism converting into madness or insanity, and we will see glimpses of this in Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 6, he causes insanity among gang members. Now obviously during the majority of this game, we'll see the gang at its strongest, robbing banks, helping locals, fighting back the law, lighting fires apparently, but we'll also see the gangs fall. Dutch, in almost every regard, is a genius. He outsmarts and outmaneuvers government officials on multiple occasions, who are intelligent men in their own right, and under Dutch's leadership, the gang rob over 40 banks across America. Yet there's an extremely fine line between genius and insanity, and during this game, a collection of stressful events cause Dutch to be pushed over the edge into insanity, into the character we see in RDR1. So he begins to lead the gang astray, leading to the mental collapse of multiple gang members. Bill Williamson becomes literally insane. Javier Escuela is hit hard by the fact Dutch goes from a great man to a shadow of his former self, and he too goes from being a quite joyful and musical man in RDR2 to the somewhat washed up hitman we see in RDR1. And our main protagonist, Arthur Morgan, experiences an existential crisis due to the path Dutch leads him on. In the most recent trailer, Arthur questions if members of the gang are even people. Number 7, Dutch grows tired of John Marston. So it has been confirmed that we'll see a different side to John Marston in RDR2, and for anyone who doesn't know, hasn't played the previous game, John Marston was the main protagonist. So he is brash, overly confident and naive in RDR2. At first, Dutch sees potential in his youth and bravery, teaching him to read and giving John a new perspective on life. And this love John receives from Dutch creates yet another devoted follower out of him. At first, John is a valuable asset and sees Dutch as a father, yet he's reckless and viewed as a liability by Dutch eventually, and Bill Williamson and Javier Escuela shows some disdain towards him. So expect a John who's attempting to find himself in this game. And if Bill Williamson is to be believed, Dutch grows tired of John during the gang's heyday, based on this quote from RDR1. "You always did have a high opinion of yourself, John. Dutch always said you're an arrogant son of a bitch." And to quote Bill from RDR1 yet again, "Dutch, Javier, and I wanted you dead. We all did." So with this information and from analysing the trailers, Rockstar seem to be pointing towards a rift between longtime brothers, Dutch and his chief enforcer, Arthur Morgan. And the treatment Dutch is giving John may push their tarnished relationship over the edge and cause an even larger rift between this once family, with Dutch, Bill, Javier and more being on one side, yet Arthur, John and Sati Alder on the other. Although then again, Rockstar could be doing a total misdirect with their editing and have tricked us all. That happens sometimes. Sucks. But yeah guys, that is the end of this video. More character videos are on the horizon and RDR content of course. Also, if you want to see our intros a day early, updates regarding the channel and our lives I guess, and some stellar jokes about other content creators and their lack of honesty, then follow us on Twitter. I mean, if you want to. But yeah, for more RDR content like this, stay tuned here on AAA Digest. Take it easy guys. Bye-bye.
Yes, everything's absolutely splendid.
Walking down the street.